obscure world of parking. We use it every day, but have we really capitalized on the intricacies of our industry? In this podcast, the Parking Network will go behind the scenes and talk to industry professionals about all things parking, from the horizon of evolving technology and even stories of the old days. We hope to encourage and inspire operators and property managers alike to look at parking through a new lens.
All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Our Parking Industry podcast. We are here today for our final episode of season 1. Woohoo! It has been a learning season and a growing season, and we have had the best time. So we have had the opportunity to interview some amazing individuals in the industry. We have also had the opportunity to talk amongst ourselves about hot topics that we love to talk about, but we get to share our conversations with you through this podcast. So we are grateful that you have been here and a listener, and we hope that you will join us back for season 2. So today we're going to have our whole group chat about a reflection on season 1 and kind of what we're looking forward to for season 2. We are hoping to launch season 2 in the early spring of 2025. And we hope that you will come along for the ride. In the meantime, we will be sharing old episodes, flashbacks on our social medias, and things like that. So if you have not had the opportunity to go back and listen to some of our first episodes, please take the time during our little break to do that while we prepare for season 2. So with all that said, I would love to turn it over to Lee so that she can share some things that she enjoyed from season 1 and kind of some things that she's looking forward to for season 2.
Okay, thanks, Krista. As the newbie here at TPN, this podcast has been a time sitting at grandma's feet, really. It's been a fount of education about the parking industry and also wisdom. We talk a lot here on the podcast about the value of mentorship. And honestly, this podcast has been my mentor in my first year in the industry. And I'm really thankful that I got to participate in not only the recording, but also just the listening end. Some of the high points for me was sitting in on the conversation between Dale Denda and Clyde. From those 2 recordings, I really got a taste of how the parking industry is not a silo. It is not its own island, but it is actually dependent on many different industries, and also many industries depend on parking. So participating in that podcast helped me value my job and also take pride in the work that I do every day. I also really enjoyed recording a podcast with Frank Delmonico. The big thing I got from that conversation was that doing a great job in whatever you're doing is actually not enough. You have to do a great job, but then also manage how other people perceive the work that you do. And Frank was talking about parking specifically. He said, having a great facility is not actually the point. The actual point is to have a great facility and then manage what your customers perceive in your facility. So I'm really thankful for that little nugget of wisdom. And I have been trying to apply it to my professional life ever since. The conversations that we had just within our team were really helpful to me as well. After we kept having these conversations, we kind of got down to these simmered nuggets of importance that we need to take care of our details, that we need to value accountability, and we need to keep customer service as a priority. And we discerned that if we would take care of those 3 tenets, everything else will kind of work out. And Clyde's rules to live by, that episode and all the conversations afterward, has really helped me stay in my lane professionally and not get derailed by emotional reactions or buzzwords, but to keep to those 3 things. So overall, the podcast this season has served as a textbook for me, as a mentorship program, as an outlet for collaboration, and a space to practice the art of communication. So I am thankful to participate, and I'm thankful for all of our listeners. Trina, how about you? What were your takeaways this season?
Wow, those were all really good. Well, I had 2 really standout ones, and y'all know I love customer service, so that was one of them. I love all of the aspects we covered in dealing with customer service and the different pieces that play into that. And different pieces that show the importance of customer service. And we talked about that with multiple people, including our episode with Rami. We talked about the importance of alerting our customers to changes and all of that stuff. And then the other one was our episode with Bob Harkins. We talked about garage appearance and safety. That one was fun. I got to be there in person as him and Clyde just chatted together, and it was really fun to watch them just converse naturally and have a conversation about parking and things that are important in parking. And yeah, my biggest takeaway from that was the appearance and safety. And I think that's really important. And yeah. As far as looking forward to in season 2, we have some really good interviews we're planning to have. And so I'm really excited to have those and yeah, just have a great conversation continue from season 1. What about you, Krista?
I agree with all of those things. So season 1 has been definitely a time for learning and growth as far as taking what we do. We're auditors at heart, right? So we're usually numbers in a spreadsheet, and taking that information and all of the knowledge that we've had, the numbers on a spreadsheet have opened the door to looking at parking operations from the inside out. So being able to take that foundation and apply it to interviewing people and talking to people and going out and who is the parking industry and talking to people that are in different parts of the industry than we are. Having that opportunity to hear different perspectives from all the people we interviewed has been fantastic. The interview I recall the most is talking with Ed from BXP, Boston Properties, and our conversation about accountability. So he is in a very different role that's not really related to parking, but he is from the internal audit. So his auditing is what connects us, not necessarily parking. So that was really great to hear how parking fits into the audit so perfectly, because there's a large exchange of money. It looks different than it used to, right? But there's a large exchange of money that goes on with parking operations, and being sure that we're accountable to ourselves and to the people we report to. And BXP is a publicly traded company, so they're responsible to the public. And so maintaining that accountability level there at such a public company is really important. But at smaller private companies, we have to be sure we are also maintaining that accountability. And like Lee said, focusing on the details, and like Trina said, focusing on the customer service. All of those pieces make parking what it is. And so we have had extreme opportunity to talk to people that do all of those pieces and make all those pieces work for our industry. Some of the other things that I've loved about season 1 are Clyde's stories from the road. So I love a good story. I love a good story. And it makes it even better whenever you have Clyde Wilson over here, who is an amazing storyteller. So it is just the perfect combination. He's told us these stories. I started in 2018. I've heard these stories probably 15 times, but every time he tells them, I learn something new and I hear something different. And so it is not lost on me that there's always a lesson in a story that comes from a place of wisdom. So I appreciate his knowledge and his experience and how he's so willing and forthcoming to share that with us as a team internally and now here on this platform for all of you as a listener. So I hope that you find value in those, because if you listen to his stories from the road again, you'll hear something different depending on your current situation and what you're currently going through. You'll take something else away from it that you didn't hear the first time or the 15th time. But I just want to be clear that I appreciate them and I love them and I can't get enough, frankly. So season 2, we have some really fun things in the work. We have, like Trina said, we have some great interviews coming up with, we're really trying to make sure that we talk to people that are in every aspect of the industry. So not just in operations, not just in an audit, a position of audit where we're talking about only accountability, but we want to talk to industry professionals far and wide in the parking industry. We know that it is a wide industry, and so we want to be sure that we touch the far corners of it and explore everything there is to explore about the industry, which lends itself to what we want to do in season 2. We also have some fun little things cooking in the background that might be little off spins of this podcast. So keep your ears out, keep your eyes out on social media as we begin to present those. And if you are interested in participating in our podcast or joining us on this adventure, please know that you can reach out to us and we are more than happy to explore that idea with you and talk through the potential that there is there. So all that being said, Clyde, turn it over to you. You're on mute. There you go.
Okay. So look, it's great to be able to sit here and listen to you guys talk about what we've done. We've actually started talking about doing a podcast 2 or 3 years ago, but it's like anything else of some of the really difficult things we as a company have done over the years. Can talk about it, but then it gets down to trying to do it, and you start realizing how little you know, how much you have to learn before you can even open the door. So we've been through that, and the first year was a great learning experience for all of us in a lot of different aspects. The part of the learning experience was how to do this. What did we really want it to look like? How did we bring this across to the people who are listening to us? How did you do all of that? And then we moved forward with that, and I think we just this group just had a great conversation over the last 2 weeks, and especially just a couple of days ago, about moving forward now to season 2, to really take advantage of the things that we learned and incorporate those into season 2. The most important thing to me about this is, we're an audit company, but we're also a consulting company. And I've always known it's really hard to like your auditor. But when this was started, the Parking Network, TPN Consulting, was started 27 years ago. The goal of starting this company was to take advantage of what we had learned and to move that forward and share that knowledge. So to me, auditing was never about auditing. Auditing was always about taking the opportunity to look at operations and learn all the different ways people do the same thing. And then how do we help them and share the knowledge that we have? So auditing to me was never about auditing. Auditing, the only part of it about auditing was that I wanted to do a good job with what people hired us to do. But our goal, and this team right here has taken that and gone way further than I ever believed it could. The goal was always to share what we learn with the parking people that out there do it every day. We realize we don't do it every day. We just get to look over shoulders and to share it around the country. So our goal really is to share what we've learned and to do a good job of learning and then to be able to carry that forward. So the podcast to us was, this is a big step. We're really getting to take that next step forward and using today's technology to take all the things that we've learned and put that into podcasts. And you know what we found out? Every time we do a podcast, we learn more. Every single one of them. We talk about this all the time. Every time we get through with the podcast, with the many professionals that we've interviewed, we have a conversation. As soon as we get off the podcast, we as a group have a conversation. And it's always, did you hear that? Did you get that point? Write that down. We have to be sure we communicate that forward. So we're still learning. We learn every time we do a podcast. And we hope to be able to share that with you. And we hope to be able to improve the podcast that we do going forward. Our job in the podcast is not to have a BS session with another parking person, even though that sounds like a good idea. And pretty soon, Chris is going to tell you about some of our next steps. But we'll save that one for later. Our goal is to pick people who have experience in different aspects of the parking industry. If you look at who we've interviewed, it's always been a different pick and a different pick of a different part of the industry. And we've learned from every one of those. So it's been, this podcast startup has been more than I ever dreamed it could be. I had high aspirations for it, but it's turned out. And that really is thanks to this team that we have here of people who understand the program of the Parking Network. Our job is really to use our advantage where we see a large part of the parking industry and bring it forward to people that we can share it with. And then it will be beneficial too. So remember out there, everybody, when we're auditing you, we're really just looking for another great story. All right. And it is great to hear Krista talk about the stories from the road. it's I am a storyteller and I do enjoy telling them. And it's to share those, to use the podcast now as the ability to share those stories. Every one of them, if you look back on those stories, all have a really important part that we've shared with you. And so I hope that they're able to really help all of you to pick out stuff from Stories from the Road. I'm more excited than you can imagine about season 2 because we learned so much in season 1. We're really now focused on who we are, what our podcast purposes are, what everybody on this team's strengths are in being able to produce a podcast, and really able to start focusing now on a good year this year. They have a great lineup of people that we're going to interview. And then, if you notice, every time we interview somebody, as I just told you, we as a team go right together and talk about the interview. But then a week later, we do a team interview with us and a podcast talking about that interview and the things that we learned from it. So it's our way to take an interview, learn, and then move forward and have a team interview podcast that we produce that's really able to meet our purpose here. And our purpose is to share the information that we've learned with everybody. So we really want to do a good job at that. Anytime that you feel like there's something else we could do to better achieve that goal, we are more than happy to listen. So we're excited about it, and we're excited about going forward this year. This has been, there's a lot of work involved. You don't see Shiloh on this screen now, but Shiloh's behind the scenes waiting on me to say something stupid so she can cut it out. And she has to then take these interviews, edit them, send them to the person that we've interviewed, be sure that everything that they've said is something that they feel okay with, and then produce them and get them out there to everyone. So there's a hard job that goes on. It's just like everything. There's a hard job that goes on behind the scenes that you don't get to see, but without Shiloh behind the scenes, we would not have what we have accomplished in this last year and be so excited about going forward. So it is something that we've learned a lot. Once we started this, we knew we didn't know what we were doing, but we were pretty open-minded about it. And the first few people that we interviewed were all really good friends that we've known for a long time. So they were nice to us to help us get started. And then we started making them more difficult, more detailed interviews. So we've enjoyed this. We've enjoyed it because it accomplished in a big way what this company was founded on 27 years ago, of being able to share our knowledge with the parking industry. I knew my background was a very fortunate background, that I had some tremendous mentors, got to have my feet in a lot of different operations. And when it came time to start the parking network, I remember very well thinking through what our purpose was in starting this. And we've really stayed focused on this. So I'm excited. This is, as you move forward in time, you do things that you really look back on then and think, this is what I wanted to do so much, in sharing our information and putting together a great team that now is overshadowing anything I could have ever done. That this is a good team that everybody enjoys to listen to. So I hope that kind of gives you an idea of how this started, where we are in the development of this, and that we're excited about being able to pick great topics for you guys as we move forward in the future, and to do something that you really, really are enjoying and getting a tremendous benefit. Okay, that's
Absolutely.
it for me.
So I think I want to touch back to a couple of things that you said. When we initially started planning out what this podcast was going to be, I think we kept coming back to the words knowledge and resources. So that has been the mission the whole time. We want this podcast to provide knowledge from us and from other people in the industry, other experts, but we also want to provide resources. And by having interviews with people, we can make those connections kind of third party vicariously by presenting people that maybe you hear something they say and you're like, wow, that person might have the answer to this question that I've had, or TPN might have the answer to this question that I've had that maybe I didn't even know I had until I was listening to this. So we want to make those connections. And another thing that Clyde said was that in our, I was going to say real jobs, in our day-to-day jobs where we are auditors, we have the opportunity, like he said, to look over shoulders of operations and see both the operations and the financials. And that has been tremendous in helping us understand how it works, how it doesn't work. And with that, we get to then, through our consulting and auditing, we get to share little things that can help make an operation better, improve it. Maybe it's already doing well, but there's this one little thing that you can do better. So we love having that opportunity as well. And then we get to share those things with you. Trina or Lee, did y'all have anything else you guys wanted to add?
I was going to add, you brought up the stories from the road, and I was going to add that my favorite story from the road this season was our bonus Halloween episode with the magic wand, because I had never heard that story. So the other ones I had heard, that one was a new one for me, and I loved the visual and all the aspects of that episode. So I love that one.
I'm looking for a magic wand now and I can't find it. It's here somewhere.
It's going to make a reappearance.
I agree with you, Trina. That was also my favorite stories of the road. Not only was it great content, but it was really fun to record because I didn't know what the secret prop was going to be either. And then all of a sudden, here comes Clyde's magic wand. And I remember how I felt when I was recording that one. It was fun. So to our listeners, I'll give you a little sneak peek. A conversation that is percolating at our round table is this idea of e-commerce. And the reason why I'm so excited about season 2 is because being a newbie to the parking industry, e-commerce is something that I had major misconceptions about coming in. I had used third-party reservation sites personally, so I had that experience, but I didn't really understand what a major player they are at the parking industry table. So I will just let you know, those conversations are really percolating over here. And I would imagine they're going to come out quite often in our season 2 interviews and conversations. So I'm excited to learn more, to get a better idea of what e-commerce is and where it's going. So that's what I'm looking forward to. So I hope our listeners are as well.
I love that you're using the word percolating. It's making me think of one of the concepts of an offshoot we might do. And Clyde brought this to the table earlier this week. And it's the idea of getting, I don't know if any of your grandpas or maybe even dads used to go and have coffee once a week or every day. I don't know. In the mid-afternoon, they would go have coffee. So Lee's using the word percolate. It makes me think of coffee. Clyde brought this idea to the table of getting a group of people together to just talk and kind of shoot the you-know-what. And maybe it's about parking. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's how, just anything. So we are really exploring this idea of getting some people together for coffee and just having a parking professional, but maybe not parking related chat style conversation, because there's, like I said about the stories from the road, I love to hear the old stories and the, just kind of the conversations that don't really seem to happen between the newer generations anymore, myself included. I don't sit around and just talk to people about random stuff that comes up in my brain. I'll text them about something, but we don't just sit around and talk. And I think going back to this concept of having a mentor, Clyde has been that for everyone on our team, and being able to share those type of mentor to mentor conversations will be really fun. And maybe you learn something, maybe you just laugh. I don't know. But the idea is percolating. And so we are super excited about what this platform has to offer and where we can go. Like I said earlier, and kind of like Clyde mentioned, if you have any ideas or questions that you have, please feel free to submit those to us. You can go to our website, any of our social medias. We are very active on all of them. So you can reach us, and we are real people. We will reach right back out to you, and we invite you to participate. We don't want this to be a one-way conversation. We want it to be a two-way conversation and a dialogue for sure. So if anybody has anything else, I'll kind of turn it over. If not, I can wrap us up.
Look, this has been a lot of work on everybody's part to be able to pull this off. We've learned a lot. The main thing is that we are in the beginning stages of accomplishing the goal. And the goal is always to take what we see and learn, because we get to look at such a big industry. This team gets to look at operations from literally coast to coast all the time. So we feel obligated to take what we learn and give that to the parking industry. And this has turned out to be a great way to share it. So this has really, really achieved a lot of goals. And it's also now, as you can tell from this conversation, a team that is very focused on what can we do better to get the information to you? What can we do better to take what we learned and put it into a format that you enjoy listening to, and at the same time, learn what we learn every time we do these podcasts. So I couldn't be more excited about where we are, guys. This is a really exciting. And the most exciting part is we believe, showing from the results of people that listen to our podcast, we believe it's working, that we're really sharing good information out. So I'm excited.
All right. And that's it for season 1. 2024 is a wrap. We hope you come back and enjoy season 2. We'll start that, like I said, early spring of 2025. In the meantime, be watching for posts on social media, invitations to join our podcast. And if you have any questions or comments, always feel free to reach out. Our goal here is always to provide knowledge and resources. And we hope that you have learned something from this season, if not multiple things. We hope that in the future we can learn something from you, because we are lifelong learners, and we hope to maintain that at the core of what this podcast is. So thank you, everybody, and we'll see you on the flip side in 2025.
To quote one of the greatest business minds of our time, Charles Munger, he said, "The best thing a human can do is help another human being know more." Here on our Parking Industry Podcast, we want to provide knowledge and resources. If you heard something that sparked your curiosity in today's episode, please reach out on our socials at TPN Consulting. You can find us on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Don't forget to subscribe and follow. See you next time on Our Parking Industry.